Welcome everybody from Sparx Systems YouTube channel. It's great to have you here today. Once again, we're looking at our urban parking system repository. In the last couple of videos, we've been looking at the systems modeling language, or SysML. And today I understand that we're going to be looking at requirements. My name's Scott Hebbard. I'm joined by Stephen Maguire. Welcome, Stephen. What can you tell us about requirements in SysML and how you can implement them in Enterprise Architect?
Thanks for the introduction, Scott, and always glad to be here. Yes, the systems modeling language, otherwise known by its acronym SysML, is going to be the focus today, and we are going to be looking at the requirements diagram. The requirements in SysML are about the specifying a capability or condition that must or should be satisfied by the system. The requirement may satisfy a function that a system must perform or performance condition a system must achieve, and the SysML provides modeling constructs to represent the text-based requirements, and then you can relate them to other elements. So we do have a requirements diagram where we can see the requirements in their totality, but also the requirements can appear in other diagrams where they relate to things like, blocks or activations in a sequence diagram or states. So let's dive into this. As always, I like to set my perspective up in the top right-hand corner of the application. You can see this drop down. It drops down the perspective sets, and I've been doing some mind mapping this morning, which is part of the strategy set, but we want to focus on the systems engineering and SysML. As always, the tool changes the focus towards SysML, and you can see here there are a number of patterns that have been presented to us. We can open this up and you can see we have patterns for one level requirements, two-level requirements, composite requirements, and a traceability requirements as well. And you can see they're related to other elements, in this case, use cases and blocks. This is a great productivity starting point for people either new to the model or even experienced to get these models directly into your own repository, these patterns. You can do that by using the Create Model button there. So I want to do things from first principles this morning, Scott. So I'm going to close that builder page. I'm going to start by modeling these in our systems engineering models within the repository. And I've got a node here, systems engineering models. And this is because this particular facet of the urban parking system is very much focused on system engineering, and we're looking at boom gate parking. So not every aspect of the urban parking system will be related or useful to do SysML models for, but in this case the boom gate is like it's a device, it's a cyber mechanical hit. So that's what we're going to do. And we have been doing some models before here, and we have a subsystems model, which we've done with the block diagram, and a use case model. So we're going to add a new package here. We simply go up to the browser toolbar and we click on the new package icon. That presents a dialog, and let's just put in here, I'll put in here boom gate requirements. So very simple to create that package and do that. And Now I'm going to create a diagram, Scott. But before I do that, I just want to talk to people about the fact that I can simply go in here and create or open a requirements toolbox there. And I can simply drag the elements from the toolbox onto this package here and drop it there. And you can see a requirement's gone in there. So I'm able to do that with any element. I can drop those in from the toolbox directly into the project browser without.
So it doesn't have to be onto the diagram every time.
No, not at all. And in some cases, requirements, it's easier or more natural for some people to do requirements this way. So they can just drop them there. I'm just going to delete that one, and I am going to start on the diagram. But that was just a little digression to show people that there isn't the need to do everything on a diagram. But we are focusing on the SysML requirements diagram. So let's do that now. We'll create a new diagram. You can see the diagram have been limited to the types for SysML 1.5 there. Requirements is a type there. I'm not going to use one of the other views. I'm just going to create that diagram. So let's create it there. this package, this frame pops up here, and we can start our work. The toolbox has changed its shape to be the SysML requirements, the SysML requirement relationships, and some extended requirements there as well. So you can see a small number of elements and quite a few different relationships. The containment relationship is going to be an important one for us today. It's kind of a nesting relationship, if you like, or something is, contained in something higher. So let's get started and let's put a requirement on for boom gate parking management. So we'll gate parking. I'll just put it, it's got the boom there. Boom gate parking, double parking there. I'll just fix that up. Management. Okay, so we've got our requirement there. Now, if we look over at the properties over here, Scott, we see that there we've got a number of groups here. We've got general group there, and we've got requirement group there, but we have a group here, requirement from SysML 1.5. Now, this is critical that people use this because this is part of the specification. It's got two different properties or tag values. One is the ID, and one is the text of the requirement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in an ID there. I'm going to call it requirement. I'll presume that
now, is the structure of the ID specified in the specifications for SysML, or is this just a standard that you're using that you find easy to read and understand?
Yeah, no, it's just what I'm using, Scott, and the specification doesn't say much about that at all, and each individual organisation might have their own ID, so they leave it up to you. There are organisations that have very complex IDs. In fact, they can be URLs pointing to some entity or some resource located on the internet. So, and they can be quite simple. They could just be a number, 47258. In this case here, you could prefix this one as well if you wanted to. You could say this was, some type of functional requirement. So you could, put a func in there as well for functional, or just FN if you wanted to. So it's up to you what you do. You could leave the REQ out of it if you wanted to as well, and just put function 001 in there. But let's just leave it like that for the moment.
Yep.
And we're going to put some text in here. You see this memo here, Scott? I'm going to click on that button. It pops up on another monitor. It's going to drag that across, and I'm going to put some text in there. So the system shall manage all parking operations efficiently and securely. So quite a broad requirement. I'll put that in. The other thing I can do, Scott, is I can put in some notes here from that specify that requirement in a little bit more detail. So what I'm going to do is put those into the notes. So formally, the text up here is what you're specifying for the requirement, but you can put additional notes in there to help people understand it. And that's part of Enterprise Architect, extended properties, if you like. So having done that, let's put in another element in here, and let's put in the have a look. We'll put in a boom gate operation requirement. So the requirements that are related to boom gate operation. So we'll put that in, boom gate operation, and let's now put in an ID for that. So quite simple, we'll follow on with our number system, and we'll put in another memo there, and we'll put in the boom gate shall control vehicle entry and exit with precision. So that's there, and we can keep putting new requirements in, but let's do something else. Let's put a containment relationship in between these two requirements. We'll say this boom gate operation requirement is contained within the boom gate parking management, and then we can go down into into more detail. Let's do that. Let's put in a physical operation here. So this is talking about the physical operation of the of the boom gate there, and we'll put in some text for that as well, and an ID. So the ID, let's put in requirement -002.01. So you can see that sort of Dewey Decimal kind of numbering system there that I'm using. It helps people understand that that's part of the the 0002 one. Negate shall raise and lower smoothly without mechanical failures. So again, we're going to make a containment relationship between that element as well. And let's lay this out.
How do you read that containment relationship? Is it the boom gate operation contains the physical operation?
Yeah, that's right, Scott. It's like any type of container. It means that it's kind of nested inside that one. So the boom gate operation is made up of the physical operation. We're going to do safety features and other things as well. Let's just put one more on here so we can see what we're doing with that. So let's put in safety features here as well, and let's make that connected as well. Actually, let's do it like that, and you'll see that it's listed as nesting under here, which gives you an indication of what it's about as well, that nesting there. Now I can just change these relationships a little bit. I'm going to make these different line styles, make this tree style vertical. I'm going to move these elements down a little bit, can multi-select those elements, move them down. And then I'm going to use a connector, a line style, Scott, which is quite useful for this type of work, which is the line style lateral vertical. So I simply do that by using my friend the right mouse click. So with the connectors selected, right mouse click there, the context menu pops up halfway down line style, and we've got a lot of line styles to lateral vertical there, and I'll do the same for this one here as well. So I'll choose line style lateral vertical, and you can see
those
now
line styles provided by Enterprise Architect to help make diagrams look nicer. And
yeah, that's it, Scott. They are part of the tool, and a really high performance part of the tool. You can see suddenly our diagram starts to look better. We are going to move across here with different like boom gate operation. We're going to go access control and payment system across there, and then each one of them will have some some nested requirements underneath. But the line styles do give you great flexibility in how you're presenting the information. Scott, I'm going to get you to do some of your time travel magic now, and I'm going to complete this diagram and then be back here in a few seconds.
Welcome back, everybody. We've done a little bit of time travel and editing magic, and we've now got our completed requirements diagram. You can also notice that there's a bit more color on this diagram, so perhaps you can tell us what the diagram legend is doing in this case and what the diagram's trying to tell us. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, thanks again, Scott. Glad to be back here. Yes, we've done a little bit more work on the diagram, and you can see now that we have a number of elements nested under each one of the main requirements. So you mentioned the color. Let's just talk about that first. The color is being generated by a dynamic legend. Now that's available from the toolbox. I'm just going to open the toolbox up and show you. It's down here in the common elements area. So these are elements that are common, not just to SysML diagrams, but to all diagrams. You can see there is a SysML Commons one there, but we've got another one which is specific to all types of diagrams in Enterprise Architect. And the diagram legend, I just simply dragged it on like I do with any other element. It's gone onto the diagram there. I'm just going to close the toolbox again by using this little chevron. We don't need to do any drag any elements from the toolbox at the moment. The legend is there, Scott, and it's a legend of priority. So what's the priority of these requirements? So the critical ones, the high ones, the medium and the low. So if we look at the properties window here and we take a requirement that's critical, like this physical operation, for example, we can see when we look at these particular properties over here, we can see that there are different properties here, and this one's property is critical. Now, if I was to change that into low, for example, and I went it's low, you'll see that the color changes.
Changes to green.
Yeah, changes to green. Let's put it back to critical. It is an important one. So once again, Scott, remember that you have these requirement properties, these tag values here specific to the SysML. So from SysML 1.5, the requirement ID and the memo, which is there. The other thing I've done is that I've displayed those tag values or those properties in the diagram. I'm going to use my pan and zoom window to zoom in on this diagram a little bit. And I can use the slider control there to zoom in. Let's have a look at a couple of these elements. So the properties are over there in the properties window. But in the occasion that you're presenting this diagram simply by by publishing it as a PNG or a bitmap or something, pasting it into some other sort of tool or document, then you'll be able to see those properties, which are all important for the boom gate. So
how do you force Enterprise Architect to show those tagged values and display them?
Yeah, great question, Scott. All I do is simply click in some blank diagram space there, and that allows me to get the properties for not an element, but for the diagram. So again, if I click on an element in the diagram, then that's the properties for the element. Outside the diagram, just in some blank canvas there, I'm going to get the properties for the diagram. Notice there are 3 panels across here: the diagram, the compartments, and the object Z order. I go to the compartments there, and I simply click on.
So you can select what you want to see there. Yeah,
exactly, and you can see the whole range of different things that you can put in there: discussions, reviews, maintenance, testing, all sorts of different elements or different properties of the elements that you might want to display. So if I simply turn that on and off, I can put those there. So there might be an occasion where you don't want to display those. You want to keep a more simple view. But if you're talking to people that are implementing these requirements, or requirements engineers, testing analysts, people doing verification and validation, then you might probably want them on. So very useful thing, Scott, there to be able to display them. And the other thing I want to point out is that this has nested these elements under the various requirements in the project browser. So we can see that we've got boom gate parking, and we've got physical. We just zoom out physical operations there. If I just zoom out on this this thing a little bit, you can see that list is there, and I'll just put that, and you can see that there are these are the nested ones underneath.
The 4 nested elements under boom gate operation. Yep.
Exactly. It's got another representation of this that I like, and I've just started this diagram. I'll leave it up to the audience to complete it if they're in their own time, if they wanted to do this kind of diagram themselves. But we've got here a nested diagram. So it's giving exactly the same information, presenting it, though, in a different way in this sort of nested elements inside elements. So we've got a boom gated parking management, then we've got our boom gate operation, physical operations, manual overrides, operation times. And if I wanted to, continue that diagram, just move this down a little bit, and I could just get access control and drag that onto the diagram, and put that in as a link, and it will show that there. I can just simply remove that by hiding it in this diagram, and I can then start making this the same size as this one here, and this one here.
Drag more elements
and
into it.
drag more elements into it. So I'll just go same height and width, align it there, move my my legend over there a bit, and then I can just start putting new elements into it. Yeah, that's right, Scott. So I can hide the connectors in the diagram if I want. I can leave them in there, and I can simply look at the properties of the diagram and hide the connectors as well if I wanted to. So that's available from there. Connector notation, I can say, just not show the connectors. So show relationships there, no. So that's it for the requirements diagram, Scott. That the one thing I want to say just before we leave is that this is an introduction to the requirements diagram. And if we look inside the toolbox, you can see, as I mentioned in the beginning, that there are a whole range of other connectors: traces, copy, derive, verify, refine, and satisfy. And this is where a lot of the real semantics and the real nitty gritty of how the requirements work within SysML. So we'll do the more advanced, I guess, and requirements diagram in a later video, and see how you use these different types of relationships. But this will get people started for now, and this is the main type of diagram features that you need to get started with requirements modeling in SysML.
No, thanks, Stephen. That sounds good, and I look forward to the future video where we expand upon this and give a bit more information. To our audience, thank you very much for listening and for watching the video. We really appreciate your patronage, and we like that you give us feedback on our various videos. If you've liked this particular video, we encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to Sparx Systems YouTube channel. As always, if you have any questions for Stephen, or you have questions about requirements in SysML, you can reach out to Stephen using his LinkedIn and website credentials that are listed in the video description below. Stephen, thanks once again for your expertise. It's great to see our boom gate parking management system come to life and be fleshed out. Thanks so much.
Always a pleasure to be here, Scott.